playing by your rules. I am for real. Why you always in the mood? Never meant to make. Yeah. Sorry, Miss Jackson. I know I've been rude, but I miss the attraction. We a little toxic, but we got passion. Yeah. We a little toxic and I got distracted. She showed a little ass and I had to go cash in. Couldn't imagine sex out of this world. I keep fucking on Saturn. If I'm on the ball, like I've been playing Madden, but she's swallowed.
There it is, right there in all its glory. Let me see what year it is. Ah, right there. So it's an 02 XR100R. Looks like it needs a tire, missing a bolt for the exhaust. Looks like it needs wheel bearings maybe. Shifter. Needs some work. But for 400 bucks, what do you want, right? Put some grips on it, some new bars. Clutch cable isn't working. Pissing out everywhere.
All right, I'm gonna switch it back to high pressure.
Okay, hold on, wait a minute. This thing's pissing all over me.
I know, it was dripping on me when I was standing on the truck.
I just got it back home and I removed the air box, and this is pretty common in our area. As you can see, it's obviously a nest that got built up inside there, so that's probably why it won't start. So I'm going to clean out that nest and we'll give it another go. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Look at that. Pretty gnarly. Got a little bit of gas in it, but I'm sure the carburetor is right crapped up because this has been sitting for like 3 years. But we'll run her on starter fluid. So it runs.
Yep, sweet.
That's all we needed. I haven't even checked the oil in it, so I don't want to go running it too much, but yeah, so we got a good project to start with. Sweet. All right, we've got the XR in the workshop. Now we just got to get it up on the lift. And this lift makes it pretty easy to work on bikes. I've taken my foot mounted pedal that normally comes with the lift and I mounted it to the side of the lift. And it just makes getting to everything so much easier. So I just plug on my line, then just go up like that. Then that releases it off the locks underneath, and then you just pull this right here and this just raises the safety latch. Let me bring you down and I'll show you. You see that orange little latch? That pulls that out of the way. And just obviously it goes down a lot slower when there's no weight on the table. All right, let's get this juliper up on there. Up it goes. Pull down that bar, and then you can just set it to any of the heights that you want along the way. Then, just as an added precaution, I like to put a strap on the bike, anything that I have up on the lift. That way I don't have to worry about it flipping over, because if you guys watch my KTM rebuild series, you will know that I dropped that bike off the lift. So that's never enjoyable. Live and learn, I guess. So the wheel bearings are shot in the back, you can see. So obviously we're gonna order wheel bearings and seals. Those are like 10 bucks. I just was looking online. Watch right here, this link. That's pretty clapped out. Front brake felt like it was sticking inside. I think that that's the cable. So I'll probably just order a front brake cable, and as you saw earlier, the clutch cable, that's all locked up. So I'll order a new clutch cable. There's another 10 bucks. Pegs are bent, shifter linkage is bent. We'll straighten all that out. I'll just hammer it back in place. The rear sprocket actually doesn't look that bad, surprisingly, so that's probably okay. Front sprocket doesn't look that bad. Needs tires. In the front is, I don't know what. Dry crack like crazy though. Look at that. That's pretty bad. So, yeah, this bike's got some time on it, but I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, guys, I really like going through bikes. It's kind of a fun thing to do as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if the rear brake works or not on it. Well, while we have it apart, I'll take a look at that, and we may end up having to order brake pads. Don't know. Probably put a new spark plug in it and clean the carb. I know that needs to be done. Let's see if it's got any oil in it. Yeah, the oil got oil in it. Doesn't smell bad, actually. It is dirty. She's black. All right, guys, I think the next thing we're going to start doing is I've just finished ordering a bunch of parts. We'll go over that here in a little bit, but I'm going to start getting things stripped down, getting things cleaned up as we go. Seat cover's ripped. So the plan for this bike, guys, and just the direction that I'm going to go with this and what I've decided is I'm not going to make this bike perfect like I did the Honda quad build that we did, or my KTM build. What I want to do is I want to get this bike looking good and get everything that's wrong with it fixed. So basically to get the bike back to reliable, normal functioning, whatnot. Pretty much if it needed it, I just went and got it, guys. That's pretty much what I did. If it didn't need it, I didn't. So like the front wheel bearings, I didn't order new wheel bearings because they weren't bad. So, and then we're just going to go through and I will probably powder coat some of the things to get them to look really good, because this is like a high wear item that rubs against your leg. And I'll take the pipe off and we'll sandblast that. We'll clean it up, but I'm not going to go too crazy on cost because, you know, it's Honda, it's bulletproof. So I just want to get it back to normal running, reliable condition. But one of the things I got to start off with doing first is I've got to get this carburetor off because it's dirty. So let's get that taken off. So I'll pull off the plastics on the back. We can get that off there. I'll get off this rear fender because that's all busted off. So I'll have to order one of those. A lot of this stuff's going to be probably pretty dirty underneath all this plastic because I wasn't able to get all this stuff clean. Try not to wreck the plastic. There we go. What do we got? A cracked subframe? Looks like it. That's okay though. I know a guy that can do some welding. So let's see. Yeah, little crack here. Sight down that subframe and then sight down the tank. You will see that that subframe needs to go that way about an inch. It's even got a broken weld, it's so tweaked. So we're gonna have to do some frame straightening, some metal fabrication, and some welding. Now you can see how this exhaust has about an inch worth of gap right there. That's because it's attached here, which isn't allowing that bolt to be bolted up. We gotta bend it that way and re-weld it. This bike, obviously it's set outside for a period of time, and that is pretty hard on bikes. Another one here, hopefully this one. Yep, came right out. For fasteners, guys, I usually deal with a company called Bell Metric, and I'll put a link down in the description to their website, but they are awesome when it comes to like sourcing out these metric fasteners. And what I usually do is I usually buy them in stainless steel because you can get them way cheaper than you'd buy new fasteners at a hardware store, and they're way cheaper than buying them through the factory. Like you can get a whole bag of, you know, they'd have these screws, no problem, and I could get them in stainless steel. So they just look good. It just looks really nice when you replace hardware with new stuff, you know. Goes back together so much better too. All right. Get out of there. There's a little bit of gas in the gas tank, so I got to try to turn off this fuel petcock, and it doesn't really want to move, and I'm guessing it's probably not gonna work correctly. So I've ordered a new one, and then it comes with a new filter and all that stuff. So another handy tool to have, guys, is a JIS screwdriver. These are made for these, like, which look to be like a Phillips head screw, but they're not. They're called, I think it's JIS is Japanese Industrial Standard. Yeah, they just fit good and they don't strip out. Oh yeah, it smells just like varnish. This thing's been sitting for a long time. Whew. Yeah, we're gonna flush that tank out. It's bad. And the fuel petcock that I got also came with all new lines too, new fuel lines. So, and I'm sure these are all garbage. So it's got all kinds of crap in it. I'm glad I got a new one. I think everything's out. Carburetor looks like it's ready to come off now. There we go. Yeah, there it is. So the next thing you're gonna want to do, just got some degreaser, guys, and the next thing you want to do is go into your, go to your wife's kitchen, grab one of her cookie trays. These work super good to clean parts on. As you can see, I've used some like red coat with it, and I clean parts with it and clean chains. But whatever you do, don't tell her that you've taken this, because she's not going to allow you to have this tray if you ask for it. So you're going to have to sneak it out of there. And if you get caught, don't tell her that I told you. You're on your own. And cleaning carburetors really isn't that difficult, guys. It's actually fairly straightforward, and you're going to see me do it right now. I don't know if I have to order parts or not, but we'll find out. Gas definitely smells like varnish, so it's probably pretty bad gas. You can get rebuild kits for these carburetors. I actually, when I did my Honda Quad, that's 34 years old. It's a TRX 70, and I think I might have some videos on this channel of it. If not, I will post a link to my other channel where they might be. But yeah, and I got the rebuild kit from a company called, I think, K&L or something like that, and really nice rebuild kit. Their rebuild kits are made in Japan. Oh yeah, if you guys could smell this, it literally smells just like turpentine. Yeah, I think it's loosening. Hopefully I don't ruin the gasket. Ugh, stinks. I have a feeling this gasket's going to be ruined. Oh my God, guys, this is the worst carburetor I've ever seen. I don't know if we're going to be able to save this. Wow, that's wicked bad. You know, guys, what does this though? Ethanol fuel. Ethanol gas. It's wicked, wicked bad for your carburetors. Look at it. Unreal. Let's go clean it out with some degreaser. Now, we're going to need some tools to get this clean, guys, and one of the things I find that works best is go grab your wife's toothbrush and you can get right in there. This is going to have to take some serious scrubbing and soaking, and I don't have an ultrasonic parts cleaner. Maybe I will after this. Well, that would be why I wouldn't start, guys, for him. We'll see if we can get through it with some of this. This is an acid-based wheel cleaner for aluminum. It's pretty aggressive. Well, that helped. Yeah, we'll just have to keep at it. This will make this carburetor shine like a brand new one. Look how it's turning it. Yeah, make sure you wear gloves when you do this stuff too, guys, because it's an acid. It's bad for your fingers and hands. It's a very rewarding feeling when you take something like this. Look how good that cleaned up, guys. That casting on the outside looks brand new. Don't leave this stuff sitting very long if you buy this cleaner. If you leave it sitting too long, it'll cause all kinds of problems. And don't get it on your paint either. They make two of them. They make this one, which is acid base. I get this, I believe, at O'Reilly's. And this one is like real soft. This one won't damage your aluminum. But like, watch this one right here. When you spray it on, it actually like foams up and it like turns it gray. See, look at that. It's almost like putting peroxide on a wound, you know what I mean? It like foams all up. So you want to make sure you're wearing gloves with this. You want to have on a pair of safety glasses, which I do right now, just because you don't want to get that stuff in your eyes. And you want to make sure that you're in a well-ventilated area, because it is got a pretty nasty smell to it. Oh, this carburetor is going to take some work, guys. This is the main jet. That came out. This thing's bad. Now, you want to get your best screwdriver whenever you're working with jets, because all it takes is one little slip and then you're not going to get it out. Quarter, half, quarter, 1, 1 1/4, 1 1/4. Look at the fuel line, guys. Look at the inlet. Completely plugged up. Now, this is a punch that I actually, just a little cheap punch that I ground down and tapered it to push out these pins. But they only go one way, and these little ears break off extremely easy. So hopefully I don't end up doing that, but it's possible. And I got extremely lucky, guys. So if you're doing one of these carburetors, it pushes out. You see how there's two bosses here? There's a tall boss and a short boss in height. That one is up here. This one's down here. Push it out from the short side to the long side. So it's coming out the long end. Then underneath this, there'll be a needle that we got to pull out. This is called the float here, the black thing. Giving this a go. The issue is that I can put compressed air through this. I can't through this one. And I've sprayed some carb cleaner and some other stuff through it. So what I'm going to do right now is I've never heard of anyone doing this, but I'm going to try setting it on the stove, and I'm going to boil it and see if I can boil whatever crud was in there, see if I can boil it out. We'll give it a go and see what happens. Oh, and this foam is just because I washed my hands with some Dawn dish detergent and just kind of like let it run into the pan. So there's a little bit of Dawn dish detergent in there. So we'll give it a try and see what happens. All right, guys, I cannot believe it, but yeah, we did it. We got it opened up. So let me just explain to you in detail everything that I ended up having to go through. There's a lot that you didn't see, so. Now, this passage, just for anyone who's wondering with this style carb, this passage right here, this one right there, that one travels down through this passageway and comes right out through here, through the pilot jet. Inside, you can see the little channelway that there's actually a hole that goes in there. Well, this one, I wasn't able to get any air through at all using compressed air. So that one goes straight through here into this main jet area. Well, no matter what I did, I could not get it open. I used parts cleaner, I used brake cleaner, I used carb cleaner, I used Chem Dip, which is right here, and a buddy of mine let me borrow that. I soaked this carburetor in that for an hour, and that didn't change anything. So what I ended up doing is I ended up using like dental picks, going down through here and trying to like really target this area right here by scraping it with like dental picks, just kind of going round and round and round, and then putting more air to it. Well, eventually it did come out and I was able to get air to blow through. Whether or not the air passageway is enough for it to run, I don't know. But I've cleaned it all up. You can see how I've taken the needle seat. I took a little bit of polishing compound on the end of a Q-tip, and I just polished the inside surfaces by like doing that. And then I just took some real fine brushes and cleaned inside all the passageways. I'll show you what those look like. Just some cheap brushes that I picked up at Harbor Freight. They're nylon bristle brushes, and then I just pushed them down through all the passageways and just did my best to clean up everywhere. So Whether or not it was enough to make it run, I don't know, but fingers crossed, I'm hoping. And I also boiled the carburetor after I got that opened up for an hour on the stove at a raging boil. I took all this plastic stuff off and boiled it for an hour. We are gonna get this carburetor rebuilt with a rebuild kit I got from K&L. I paid for this with my money, but I think these are probably the best rebuild kits on the market. They're made in Japan, and I've never had bad luck with them. And I printed off a diagram online, just in case I get fouled up of what goes where. I don't think I will, but it's always good to have a reference so you're not scurrying around last minute. All right, so here is the emulsion tube. We'll put that in first. Then there should be a main jet in here somewhere. Right here. And I have checked, the jet sizes are the same. And you want good screwdrivers too, guys, when you're working with carburetors. You know, might as well grab a JIS while I'm here. These are great too, guys, if you're going to do carburetor work or work on Japanese motorcycles. Get yourself a nice JIS screwdriver. What looks to be Phillips head on these Japanese bikes, they're not. They're called Japanese Industrial Standard. You don't gotta go crazy with these either. Here's the pilot jet. This is typically the one, guys, when you're working on carburetors, small engines, lawnmowers, or anything. Not usually this one that'll foul up. The jet might, but sometimes the emulsion tube will. But generally, if your machine needs to run on choke, it's because this is the culprit. This makes it run on choke. These plug up, these little venturis, the little holes in the end, and that's what keeps it from running properly, making you having to run it on choke. Put in the needle and the float. Probably have to look up what the specs are on this carb as far as float height, but I can probably just guess and get it pretty close. And as I told you in last week's video, these press from small to long side. So the way you set a float height, guys, is you do it on its side and you find out just where it makes contact, and that's right there. Well, now they're hanging right there, so generally, as a typical rule, they're usually parallel with the body of the carburetor. Just putting a little bit of grease in here, guys. It helps the O-ring hold into the channel. You don't want to go nuts, but just put a little bit in there, be fine. I just use grease out of just an acid brush for plumbing. See how that grease kind of works like an adhesive to help hold that in. Trying to make sure you don't have too much that grease inside the float bowl. So this goes on here, and that keeps, I guess, fuel from sloshing around. Yes, it does. Just like that. There. That even comes with new screws, which is really nice. Another great tool to have, guys, when you're working on carburetors is a nice pick set like this. And it works good to dig out O-rings and stuff. So there's that. That my parts tray. And we'll grab another one. Do the same thing with this. Grab a little bit of grease. Put it on there. Help lube up that O-ring when it gets seated in. Here's the idle screw. I think that one also gets another O-ring. Alright, there, we get this lubed up, the O-ring. Put in the idle screw. So now this is where some people have a tendency, they can get a little fouled up, because this is where the pilot screw goes in. So that's this, and then in here it's got a spring, it's got an O-ring, and it's got a washer. So you need to make sure that all that goes in inside. And you need to verify that they're not inside your carburetor too, that during the cleaning process they're not still in there, or they may have fallen out. So, got a spring that goes onto the pilot. Then you're going to have a small washer, and then a tiny O-ring. Then that's going to go up into the carburetor carefully. And my original carburetor was 1 1/4 turns out is what mine was set at, which doesn't seem about right. So half, 1 would be 1 1/2, so 1 1/4. Let's try that. So the next thing I got to do, guys, is we're going to get this bike laid down, and we are going to get it onto the fixture table. So the subframe has to go this way, so we're going to lay the bike down flat this way, clamp the main backbone, and just try to jack this up. Alright, so I've got it pretty much supported, you know, back here, as you can see, and I got it supported up front, up under the frame. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some fixture clamps, and I'm just putting them into, again, the fixture table that we made. And if you want to see how we did that, you can check that out too. So what I'm going to do is, all I'm doing is I'm just going to clamp the swing arm down here. And I'm going to try to get a couple points of contact on the bike so that we can hold the bike down, but at the same time jack up this section, and maybe, I don't know if we'll take measurements, but we'll probably just eyeball it. Probably hard for you guys to see, but I'm just sighting down it. It's kind of hard too because it's on its side, but I'm sighting down it and just looking at it. And what we'll do is we'll get it close, we'll stand it back up, and we'll see. It doesn't have to be perfect, I just want it better. Kind of get the bike vertical again, and we'll see what that looks like. Well, it's definitely better, but it's not perfect. But boy, I don't know, it's pretty close. Huh. Well, a lot better. I think it's better, but it looks like we still got to go a little bit more. These don't look too bad in through here, so I think I'm going to try to just push a little bit back here and see if that does anything. But we're gaining. We're definitely making progress. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Probably no one would have ever even have known this, but I would, just because that's things that I look for. And someone else might if they went to buy it when I went to sell it. So, and I want it to be right, and I want it to look nice. So. And that'll kind of stretch out that, which is what this looks like it needs to do anyways. So I think this will help a little bit. So I bolted up the exhaust guys back up to see where we're at, and so it's pinned here and here, and this is just kind of like flapping out in the breeze, and it's showing that I have to go up to get these aligned. And I've put a level on a few places, and I checked it here and it's level, checked it here, and it's saying this has to come up a little bit right here, and right here it's saying it's got to go way up. So we're gaining. And if you look at the back, you can see how the right one versus the left one, how the right one's got to come up a lot as well. I don't know, maybe just slide a pipe over it and try to bend it. Let me try that. Let's see if this works. Yep, moved it. Actually moved it quite a bit. Oh, that looks way better, guys. Wow. Okay, you can see how that fits up in there. That one's still a little tight, but it looks like it's fitting better at the back. Huh. Oh yeah, way better, guys. That thing is in way better alignment now. I think we just about got it. And we just gotta work on this. We'll have to weld this up. Check the exhaust real quick. Let me pop the fender off. We'll put the exhaust on real quick and see how that looks. What I've done is I've taken the level and I've checked it in a few spots. So that's like perfectly level there. That's like perfectly level there. That's perfectly level there. And it's perfectly level around the back tails of the pipe. So that tells me that if it's connected here and it's connected at the motor, that the back of this pipe had to have gotten bent when it got dumped. So we need to bend this pipe down so that these line up. So in order for me to do that, I'm gonna have to take off this guard and I'm gonna heat it up right here and just tweak it down a little bit. But I'm pretty confident that these bolts are gonna break off when I do this. It is what it is. I feel like I'm kind of like making more work for myself. I could heat it back here, but there's all kinds of reinforcing right there, and I really don't want to get into that. Wow, maybe I got lucky. I did, that one at least. This one here isn't connected to anything. It looks like it might have, whatever it was hitched to on the inside, it looks like it might have, oh yeah, this one's gonna break. Maybe spray it with some penetrant. All right, let's see what that does. Boy, it feels tender, I'll tell you that. So what I'm doing, guys, I'm just going back and forth, tightening a little bit, loosening it a little bit. Yeah, snapped it. Oh well. I can get that out anyways, I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna heat up this pipe using some MAP gas. And MAP gas burns a little bit hotter than regular propane, so hope for the best. Actually, I got a better idea. Hey, this will get her done. Got propane and MAP. Here we go. Look at that, guys. That lined right up. Oh yeah, guys, look at that. Sweet. I think we're all dialed in. I think that frame's right where it needs to be. All right, guys, so check that out. That is perfectly aligned with that rear tire. You can see how it fits awesome in these little cutouts, and everything is nice, evenly aligned up the backbone of the bike. It fits absolutely perfect. So now that we've got everything fit right, what I gotta do is, you can see there's just a little edge right here. I gotta knock that back into place, and then we gotta get ready to weld this up. So what I'm gonna do right now, give her a few hits and get this lined up, and then we can prep it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Nice and flush there. But did we change our alignment? That's the next thing. Nope, looks good. Now I'm just gonna take a wire brush and try to scrape this back a little bit. I want to get it clean so we can get some, I mean, I don't have to go nuts, you know what I mean? Whatever I do is going to be something better than nothing. But before we completely weld that, let's do the harder project first, and that'll be this, getting this broken stud out of here. Yeah, I think I got it. Yeah, and there it is. So you can see, guys, that's what it looks like. So that's where I welded it, and that's the back side. Now let's go fix the back, then we'll fix the steering steering stops. Got the joint all prepped up, all cleaned, and let's see how this is gonna go. And there it is, guys, right there. We're dialed right in. Now we just got the steering stem to deal with. I don't think this is gonna be too bad either, guys. I'm just gonna try to knock this little tab out right here, and we'll try to re-weld it. There, that looks to be about appropriate. Back her up and see if it works. Nothing to it, but now we just got to weld it up. I tried my best to get in here and do a good job. It's going to be real hard to get in here though. But that actually wasn't that bad. Wow. Yeah, not too bad. I'm actually going to fill in some at the bottom too. Yeah, and I got to do on the other side as well. Yeah, this isn't bad. Wow. Yeah. I'm just fine with that. I would say that is a success, guys. Check that out. So I kind of got it all shaped a little bit. Still got to paint it and stuff like that. But yeah, it does what it's supposed to. So that hits there. You can see how when you turn in that way, before it never even worked on this side. So that hits there. So that's that. So yeah. Perfect. So we got 3 things fixed today, guys. Accomplished, done. And I'll just end up painting all this up, make it look real good. You'll never know. Plus the number plate fits over that anyway, so the chances of anyone ever seeing that are pretty slim. But yeah, just as good, if not probably better, because I actually added a pound more weld on it than what there actually was from the factory. So we are to the point where we can get ready to put on the carb, but I also ordered a new, oh my God, throttle tube and throttle housing. So I'm going to lube up the cable and clean the cable, because if we're going to do it, we might as well have it all working like new, right? And check out that. That's what we were hearing when we turned the throttle. Listen. We'll clean that up, make that a little better. Yeah, there we go. I just put it in the vise just so I got something to hold on to, so I can have free hands. There we go. I can hear it coming out the bottom now, or I can hear air coming out. Hear that? Look at that. That's what we want. In one side and out the other. Forces all the garbage out of it. Yeah. Good. All right, now we can put it back on the bike. I just took a little bit of a wire wheel and just ran a wire wheel over the tube just to get off any of the surface rust. Now I'm just going to put a thin coat of grease on the tube just so that there's no rusting and stuff like that. I don't want too much on there because I don't want it to attract dirt, you know. So guys, I just realized that the airbox was pretty filthy, so I took the airbox out of the bike because now there's no time better than the present to clean it up while we're right here. So this looks really good. I'm just using some degreaser and just getting in here. What you want to do is just grab your wife's toothbrush and just make sure you put it back when you're done. But yeah, that works good. You can get in like real tight areas with it and stuff like that. You won't get in trouble as long as she doesn't know. Alright, I'm just going to finish cleaning her up, then we'll rinse her off and we'll put it back in and see how it looks. Alright, so we're at the point now we can stuff the carburetor in it. I've got it adjusted up on the grip so that without the idle screw being in or making any contact with anything, that the slide automatically hits the bottom of the carburetor. And there's just a little bit of play right here. So you don't want the cable holding up the idle, basically. And then we'll just turn our idle screw in just a little bit so that we can see the slide just come up a little. There it is, right there. So there. So now the slide is actually hitting the idle screw. There. So now the idle screw is controlling the idle, not the cable adjustment. I was going to get it on the bike and get it started, but my thoughts is that I want to rebuild this suspension. There's a little bit of touch-up I need to do around in here. The airbox is out, so to get it running right, the airbox should be in, the filter should be in, all that stuff. So let's get this back suspension off. We'll just quickly rebuild the linkage bearings, and I've also got some new wheel bearings for the rear wheel. So we'll put the new wheel bearings in, we'll remove the rear tire, we'll get this rear suspension done. Then I can like do a little bit of touch up around the back. Then we can put the carburetor on and the airbox and we'll be good to go. Yeah, it's been a minute since it's seen some lube, I think. Actually, not that bad. But I ordered a new set anyways. So this is the bearing kit right here. So seal and 2 bearings. So that's what we got to take out. But while we're here, might as well get the tire off. At least get this part done. Actually, instead of wrestling around, I'm just going to put it on my tire stand thing that I built. And this is what I use to change tires, guys. And I just built this. If you want to see how I did it, I'll give you a link over onto my welding channel. But yeah, this is really slick. Pretty simple. And all this is just a cutting board that I got at Walmart. It just sits on like that. Oh, what's this? Got a patch tube in it? If that's the case, I'll just buy a new tube. That's what it looks like, doesn't it? So rather than put the bike back together and put the tire on and all that stuff, I'm going to hold off because I don't want to lose a day of riding over a $9 tube, you know what I mean? So I'm just going to go out and buy new tubes and be done with it. Might as well do it right. I'm going to order the band that goes around this, get a new tube, then we can do it the right way. But there's plenty to do in the meanwhile, so what I'll do is I'm just going to soak all these parts right here. Just soak them in some water, get them kind of somewhat clean, then we can address them here right off. Let's start by taking off the top shock. I'm going to try to take out as much of this assembly as one piece as I can. Then we can get it over here on the bench and work on it instead of doing it upside down. Well, that was easy. So this next part, I pretty much just kind of fast forwarded it so you guys could see me do it. I wasn't talking as I did it just because it was very detail oriented. There's a lot of parts and a lot of pieces that I was working on, and I really just kind of wanted to focus on what I was doing at hand and not have to narrate and explain it as I was going, because I was kind of just doing it as I went. So I got the new kit and laid everything out in front of me and just kind of looked it all over so I could see what I had. So as I took the old stuff apart, I kind of knew what I was looking for and how things went. I took a bunch of pictures because it's real important when you do stuff like this that you don't get all disoriented and get everything all screwed up. So I ended up pushing everything out and got all the old plastic bushings out, and the new ones are actually metal roller bearings, which are really nice. It should last a long time. I made sure to put a lot of grease and pack everything nice to keep any water and moisture out of it. And then I just took my time and pushed everything out, pushed everything back in, and it was all pretty straightforward and self-explanatory. I didn't have any problems at all whatsoever.
This is the last one, and this is just a little thin bushing. That's that. So that's this one right here. So while I'm right here and have it oriented so I don't forget, I'm going to put it in right now. Alright guys, it's the next day and I just finished assembling all these pieces. I did it off camera just because it was kind of a little bit time consuming pressing these in, but they're all in, they're all done. And this is all the garbage that I pulled out of them. So I got a few bolts and stuff. My parts cleaner just came in, my ultrasonic cleaner, and I want to basically toss them in and see how it works. And I've got some brake parts in here and stuff. So I'm going to go bring these over to the ultrasonic cleaner and see how it works. I've got some simple green in it right now, and we'll just put some parts in, and then we'll add some water. I think it's got to be like an inch below the top. There. And turn it on the back. And let's put it in for 20 minutes. Look at that. Oh my God, look guys. Oh, I get a shock. Look at the stuff come off it. Look at that. That's kind of cool. Look at like the grease come off that bolt. That's pretty sweet, huh? Check this out. It went up to 70 degrees Celsius, which I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit. I'd have to look it up, but I had it in for like 30 minutes. And I'll tell you what, guys, it is hot. So far, my initial impression, just that quick glance that I just saw, guys, looks pretty impressive. Oh, wow. Look at that. I haven't even touched these parts either. Look how clean they are. That's awesome. Sweet. It's hot. I can't even touch the parts. They're so hot. But yeah, there's like no film on it whatsoever. Look at this. Remember this one, guys? This was that chain slider that had all that sticky goo on it. Look at that. Wow. Impressive. I'm real happy. It may seem like I'm kind of like hopping all around a little bit, and I think I probably am, but I'm just trying to like put assemblies together, you know, clean something and get it to the point where I can put it all back together and then set it aside as an assembly. And what kind of nice, I ordered new brake pads for the back and new brake shoes, I should say. Now this is just a little indicator that tells you when the brakes are worn out a little bit, and see where it's hitting over here and it shouldn't have been. And it's keyed, so it can only go in one way. The way that works, when you pull the brake, it just expands those. And those work super smooth right now. All right, guys, just gonna fast forward just a little bit because you didn't really need to see me do this. You know painting is like. So I just took a Scotch-Brite scuffy pad and just scuffed up this back subframe and then just sprayed it down with some rattle can spray paint and then just threw some clear coat on it. I did the same thing with this swing arm. I actually took this and sandblasted it just using a little small portable sandblaster and put a couple coats of paint on it, then just shot some clear on it. And yeah, it's not perfect. We could have done powder coating on this, but again, trying to stay within like the budget theme. So you can see I've got the linkage and stuff over here with all new pressed bearings and stuff like that, but it doesn't come with a swing arm kit. When I was working on the swing arm, I noticed that the far side over there, which would be the left of the bike as you're sitting on it, had a little bit of play in it. So rather than live with it, we're gonna fix it. Make sense? I'm sure it's pretty self-explanatory. It looks like it would be. Yeah, so that's it right there. Couple bushings and a pin. That's just what we have there. See about getting this stuff fixed. Oh yeah, look at that. Yep. Pretty rotted up, huh? All this is just a plastic bushing, and all I have is a nice, really sharp chisel. And it's not a very big point on it, as you can see. And just kind of like splitting it, just like that. And then I'm just kind of going down the inside with it. And once I'm all the way through down the inside, then I just grab it with vice grip. Then I just did this, and it came right out. Like that. All right, I'll just clean up the inside of that with a rag and then push the new ones in. All right, and just grab a bushing. Should be pretty straightforward. Ooh, those go in a little dry. I'm gonna fill this right up full of grease. Yeah, pack that grease right in there. All right, so we got the swing arm on. Now I'm just gonna continue moving forward, putting in these seals. And it would have been nice to do new bolts and all that, but I gotta draw the line somewhere on this build, guys, and consider it, you know, a budget thing. So I can always go back through and paint the bolt heads if that's the problem, you know. This just helps keep any water from getting into those needle bearings. There, gaining. Now we just have this one to connect to the swing arm. Like I said, I'm just getting all the hardware through, and then we'll go back through after and torque everything to spec, wipe everything down, and then touch up any of the bolt heads that look terrible. What do you think of that, guys? Huh? That looks a lot better, huh? Get everything all tightened down. This thing should handle pretty good now. Just finished torquing a bunch of these suspension bolts just because it's hard to get on film and me moving around and stuff. So if you guys are working on this, I figured I'd just tell you what the torque specs are. So the upper shock mount, that's 33. The swing arm bolt right here is 47. And again, these torque figures I'm giving you, they're for 2,000 and up machines, or I don't know where the cutoff is, but I know that they begin at 2,000. I don't know where it ends. So 33, 47. This, all these pivot links, that's 33, 33, 33, and the lower shock mount is 25. So hopefully that helps. And because I really want to get this to a point where we can fire this thing up, I'd like to start putting it back together. So let's get the air box in it. And what I did on the last Honda project that I did, I kind of went around to keep things budget minded, is I went through, after I kind of put things together, I saw the bolts that I didn't really like the looks of, that were really visibly exposed, and those are the ones that I actually went to Bell Metric and bought different hardware for, just to help, you know, spruce and dress things up a little bit. And I very well might do that same thing here. You know, some of the hardware looks nice, others look ratty, you know. Could actually bolt the carburetor on. Might as well, right here. No time like the present, I guess. Probably take these out. That might make it run a little rough, huh? Put a little bit of grease on stuff, kind of like aids in taking it apart down the road, so like this gasket doesn't stick to the manifold and tear, you know. And these don't require a lot of tension, guys. There's just bring them down to touch and that's it. Actually to the point where we could run it if we wanted, if we put the exhaust on. All right, I think this is all pre-oiled, or it should be anyways. I'll put a little bit of grease on the seal. I don't know if it matters, but it's definitely not a bad thing to do. Let's help seal it a little bit better. See if I can get this cover to look a little bit better. Maybe we'll just torch it real quick. See if we can get some black back to it. Yeah, that looks a lot better. That's acceptable in my book. Yep, that blackened it up pretty good. Good enough. Let's button her up. Oh yeah, look at that, guys. That's like night and day. Way better. Looks like brand new. Isn't this like a rewarding feeling, guys? I don't know. It is for me. Maybe it's not the same because you guys aren't doing it to something that you have, but it just feels so good taking something that looks kind of rough and ratty and just make it nice again. That's all back together. How good that looks. Yep, that was wicked good. Oh yeah, look at that. Yep. All right, let's see if we can do a little over here. I'm going to show you guys how I get my parts looking brand new, and I know I've mentioned in some other videos about how I sandblast them at home, and I do it real cheap with a commercially available little hand sandblaster, and it works awesome. So let's bring some of these parts outside, and I'll start sandblasting them up. I'm going to take care of all of these parts and getting them looking like new again. Sandblast them down, paint them up, and yeah, we'll be in good shape. I'll show you how I do it. All right, guys, so I just got my parts out here. This is how I do it. I'm just going to keep it real brief because this video is probably getting pretty long, but I have all my parts out here laid out. I ground down, this had been repaired, so I ground that down to smooth it up to make it look like one piece again. I didn't do the repair, I just ground it up, made it look a little bit better. And this is how I do it. Here's the business end of it, and you can see I'll put links down in the description to all of this stuff, guys, if you're interested. But I use this all the time. I've had this for years, and this is a wicked awesome tool. It's just handheld. You put your sand in there. This is all there is to it. Then I just have a little abrasive hood that I put on, and it's super easy. Now the line that I'm using, everything about this is my setup is completely wrong for what it says that this needs, but it works. So I have a 1/4 inch line. You should have like probably a 1/2 inch line. My air compressor is like half the CFM that this requires, but again, it just works. So I think it's a recommendation if you just wanted to sandblast and do it non-stop. You could, but it's not necessary. All I have is just a little 5 horsepower 30-gallon horizontal Craftsman. It runs on 120 volt air compressor. It's nothing fancy. So, and this is the abrasive stuff I run, guys. It's just glass shards, and I buy this through my local rental company that actually rents like sandblasters, so you can get it cheap there. I think for this bag, it's a 50-pound bag, I think it's like $5, so it's really cheap. Can't remember how much this is. This is, I think, well under 100, and it works really slick. You'll see. This is how I do it. I cut the corner to the bag, and then I can just kind of like meter it in real carefully. Like I say, it's only $5 a bag, so if you spill a little bit, it's not like it's the end of the world. Yeah. That's that. And then it's just got an off on right there. That's it. Then you just connect your air hose there. Now all I do is I just put on that hood and start sandblasting. I'll set you up on a tripod so you guys can see. Hopefully, I'll try. Here is the gas tank off the bike, and it looks pretty rough. I just dumped out the gas, so I figured I'd strap up a camera because the gas that came out of it was black. I've never seen black gasoline. This is a 4-stroke, so maybe somebody might have put mixed gas in it, I'm guessing, but the gas is probably going to be pretty nasty looking. And I think there's a screen in here, so I figured I would bring you along and we can check it out. I know that this petcock was completely plugged up, so I ended up buying a new one. What the? I think there's supposed to be a screen in there. Let's see if we can get some of this gas out. Look at the gas, guys. Look at it. It's green and black. I've never seen anything like it. It's thick. Wow, that's weird, huh? All right, I gotta clean this thing up. I like cleaning parts, guys. I know probably a lot of people don't, but it's really rewarding. Probably because it doesn't cost anything other than your time. I've got my fuel line, so what I'm gonna do is, I believe this is the one that goes from the petcock up to the tank, so we'll set that aside, and that's what this hose is for right there. And then this hose here will be for the overflow and whatever that does. So let's work on that and get that going right now. Okay, so I guess one of the first things we'll do is we will figure out where these lines need to go and how they need to be run. I think that's going to go up through there, probably up like that, and then onto this. This is just a float bow drain, that's all that is. Yeah, and that will run down through here. and then it comes out right here. Then what we'll do is we'll just put like a slash cut on it, and that way it'll keep it from getting plugged or any dirt or debris getting on it. There. All right, I did a little research to figure out where this tube actually goes, and it actually goes right on that right there. Can you see that? Right there. And then it goes over, then it clips in right here, and then it just hangs down. It's just an air vent, so I don't know how well you're going to be able to see me do this, but I'll put it on a tripod, so hopefully you can see it. Like I suspected, I didn't think you'd be able to see what it was I was doing to get that line on, so I'm just going to stick it up in there now. Again, slash it at an angle and tuck it up in. I got it secured onto the carburetor. Now we just got to get it up into the clip right here up by the airbox. Yeah, that was easy. It says all that is an air vent. Now all we got left to do is move forward. See how this nut looks nice and shiny, but you look at that one and it doesn't? I want to show you how I do that. I've just been painting the exhaust, getting ready to put things back together, and basically just kind of cleaning things so I can put the things that I have cleaned at least and get those on the bike. Just keeps the workshop a little bit more organized if I do it that way. So all I've done is I just threaded up a bolt and just clamped the head of it into my drill, and now I'm just screwing that acorn nut onto it and just run it with some like 000 steel wool and just rub it down. Look at that, guys. And you can do that with all chrome, and it will make it look so nice. I did it with the wheels, and it cleaned right up. Look how nice that looks, guys. It's like a brand new piece. Yeah. All right, let's get that exhaust bolted on there. I think I got some stainless hardware for it. So I don't have these flange bolts at all in either zinc or stainless. But what I do have, which might not look too bad, are these bolts here. That would look pretty good, I think. Wouldn't it? They're stainless. Let's throw those in, see how that looks. Let's double check, make sure they fit. They do. Stick that in there. I'll go back through and put Loctite on them, but I'm just trying to hold everything in place right now. Oh yeah, look at that, guys. Look how nice that looks. Wow, that's pretty close to the factory color too. Put Loctite on this one. Okay, that. Like I say, guys, I get all my fasteners from this company called Bellmetric. I'm not sponsored by them. I get nothing if you buy from them or not. I'm just telling you that it's a super convenient and inexpensive place to buy your fasteners because they have all this specialty stuff. So naturally I had these right in stock, and that'll hold on this guard right here, which that'll be awesome. So all right, let's throw that guard on. I just put clear coat on it, so hopefully it's ready to go. There, that's all on. That looks really good. I like the looks of the stainless hardware on it. So, all right, let's get the back fender on it. I'm just trying to like use up some of my parts that I have kicking around, and no time better than the present to get rid of all of them. Look at that, OEM. Oh yeah, look at that. That look good. Now we'll just bolt the rear fender on. The heads of the bolts don't look the greatest, but they're all going to be hidden, so you're not going to really see them. And we're trying to keep this, you know, with a budget in mind, so boy, doesn't that look nice, guys, huh? And you see how these bolts, the heads of this look kind of ratty, and up here. I'm gonna mask this off when we're done. And once I get this on, I'll just kind of like mask that section off and paint the bolts and all of it. Make it all look really nice, because you can't paint bolts beforehand and then put a wrench on them and tighten them up, because then what'll happen is they just chip the paint off the heads. So you're better off, if that's what you want to do, either get new bolts or paint them after they've all been torqued and tightened. All right, I just finished painting the kickstand, so we might as well put that on too, get that done. Get as many parts on the bike as we possibly can. That way we don't have parts laying all around the workshop. This is still pretty wet, that's why I'm kind of being careful with it. And these get torqued to 40. And I probably could have taken the kickstand off, guys, and painted the kickstand black and then done the other piece separate. But again, I didn't want to mess around with the threads on the bolt in the head of the bolt and then having to paint them after the fact. So you'll see this way, when I pull this apart, that the head of the bolt is black, and I just obviously just painted around everything. Got some Amazon or eBay foot pegs. I think eBay. Little China oversized foot pegs. Let's see how these old girls will look. Oh yeah. There we go. Now that we've got the pegs all on, I got to take the front end off. And the reason I got to do that, for a couple reasons. I've got new fork boots because these are all chewed up. I need to paint this where we repaired the steering stops, and while I got it apart, I might as well grease the head bearings in this and take care of that. Probably 19. We'll see. Yep. Oh my God. Wow. What's the other side? 12 maybe? Let's try that. Or 14. Yeah, I think it's 14. Sorry guys if I'm like moving back and forth kind of like fast and it's messing you up. There. All right, let me go on the other side and we'll pull off the axle. Get the front wheel out of there because we still got to put a new tire on it. Look how, I don't know if you can see how dry cracked it is, but it's bad, guys. Real bad. Yeah, there's that. There. Let's pull this out. And we'll set this aside. Yeah, look how bad this is a Bridgestone Moto something M23. Now this would be, I believe, the stock tire to the bike. I believe that that's what it came with from the factory, was Bridgestones. So we'll set this aside over here on the bench because we're not really ready for it yet. But when we are, there's our new tire, there's our new tube. Wow, huh, this was already loose. Wasn't even tight. Look, I'm tightening it right down now. Maybe it's stripped out. Nope, it was loose. Real loose. Same thing with this one, loose. Well, there, that makes it easy. So you can see these shock boots, those are all tore up. Might as well get these old junk boots off. Wow, surprisingly, these forks look really good. Yeah. No nicks, pits, nothing. Wow. That's pretty impressive. Maybe we'll dump out the oil and put some heavier weight oil in it. Junk, get rid of those. We'll set those aside and save them. Remember how messed up this shifter was? I straightened it all out and then I painted it. So little details like this, in my opinion, really set off a project. They just kind of, I don't know, it just looks nice when you do the little details like this. Look at that, huh? Oh yeah. Alright guys, we are really close to finishing up this project now. I've just quickly taken the front end off camera because what I want to do is I want to paint up this steering stop that we repaired in the last episode, and I want to clean up the bearing race surfaces, and I want to re-grease the head bearings here. So, and clean up all the parts. You can see I've got everything labeled. The bars were a little bent. I just gave it a little hammer on that cross piece and straightened that out and took the front tire off. I want to take some of these parts and just soak them in the ultrasonic cleaner to help get everything cleaned up a little bit. So we're going to put the front whole brake assembly is one complete thing. You can see how it's all froze up. See how it spreads? It's not springing back. So I'm just going to throw that in as a whole completed assembly, and I've got some parts for the front end that we'll throw in there, some washers, these little bearings we'll throw in there. Those are plastic, so hopefully those don't melt or cause a problem. Put that in there. Here's the strap for the gas tank. That's all covered in gnarliness, so look how gnarly that looks. We'll see how good that looks once it's all said and done. And let's see, got a spring to the front brakes. We'll throw that in. Spacer, is that a O-ring? Nope. Let's go mix up some simple green. We'll get it in here, get it up to temperature, and then we'll turn it on. All right, now what I got here, guys, is just some warm water that we're going to start out with. We'll get all the parts covered. Oh, squirting it everywhere. Can we get it? Yeah, well, maybe a little bit of it will. There we go. Now we'll add a little bit of simple green to it. Yeah, that should do good. Now we'll turn it on. We'll switch on the back. And we'll set the temp. Okay, so it goes up to 80 Celsius. So we're gonna set it, we'll just go 70. That'll work. I'm gonna show you real quick what one of my viewers just taught me on how to convert Celsius or centigrade into Fahrenheit. So I've got it set for 70 degrees Celsius. So what does that equal in Fahrenheit? Okay, check this out. This is super easy to figure out. Okay, watch this. So you take 70, okay, that's multiply that times 2, so that's 140. Okay, and then you minus 10%. So 10% of 140 is 14 equals 126. Then add 32 to that number. 158 degrees. So 70 degrees Celsius is 158 degrees Fahrenheit. How cool is that? So take whatever your Celsius number is, multiply it by 2, subtract 10%, then add 32, the number 32 to it. And that's how it is. So thanks, buddy, for the great tip. And I'm passing it on because I'm sure this is going to help a lot of people like it's helped me. So thanks. All right, guys, I lowered the temperature a little bit to 60 Celsius. So in Fahrenheit, that'd be what? 60 times 2 is 120. Minus 12, that's 108 plus 32. I'm just using my calculator. So 140 degrees. So that's 140 degrees right now, and I'm gonna get ready to turn it on. And I don't know if you can see much in there, but watch when I turn it on. I mean, the grease and grime just immediately rises to the top. So this is what sets the timer. So I'll set it for 30 minutes. And now we're gonna turn it on. I don't know if you can see it, but like the black is just rising right to the top. Yeah, look at it come up through the hole there. All that black grime and grit over here. Oh, camera's starting to fog up. Okay, well, I'm going to put it back. I'll bring you back in 29 minutes, and we'll take a look and see how clean these parts are. All right, 30 minutes has gone by. Let's take a look and see how these parts look. I'll tell you that this gets so hot that you can't grab this metal basket. Oh, wow, with your bare hands. Wow, this is gonna look good. Oh, wow, it took the paint finish right off it. Oops. Weren't expecting that. Well, looks like we'll be painting that now too. So I just got these in a bucket of water just because I wanted to get that simple green solution off them. So we'll pull it out and check everything out, see how everything looks. This was the real grungy part. Wow, that looks pretty good now. Everything came out really nice. I'm happy. And look, other than I left this in too long and it blistered all the paint off it. It was kind of weird that it did that, but we'll sandblast it down, and I'll end up repainting it. But it freed everything up. Look, that works real nice now. So all right, I'm going to take the levers, I'm going to put those in, see how those work, and we'll set that for 30 minutes. All right, the time is up on those levers. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, those look good. Yeah, those look really good. Perfect. All right, guys, it's the next day, and I am super happy how this came out. The paint feels nice and thick and slippery. You can see the line where it transitioned from old to new, but the tank rides up here, so you won't see any of that. And then I peeled off the sticker around the the model number, and yeah, it just came out really good. I'm happy with it. So now it's time to get this front end back together, so let's do that. You can see I got all my parts laid out. Painted the triple tree. Didn't paint the top. We're just going to leave that because that looks pretty good. That's not a problem. And just going to put a little bit of synthetic grease up inside here. There, that looks good. We'll do the same thing at the top. Now we'll do the same thing to the bottom bearing race where the bearing rides. These actually felt pretty good, so I'm not replacing them, and I'm just putting a little bit of grease on the shaft just to keep it from rusting, from moisture. It doesn't rub on anything, it doesn't slide around. So, and I'm going to do the same thing with the threads here, because as you can see there is a little bit of rust on them, so it obviously gets some sort of moisture on it. I'm just going to coat these liberally. We're going to do the same thing at the top and drop in that bearing. It's kind of weird that this is like a plastic bearing race, but I guess it's really, the plastic doesn't do much other than just kind of like hold these bearings all together, because they ride in between like two half bearing faces. So it's kind of a pretty neat idea, really. I would think that this would last, this style of setup would last quite a while. All right, I'll just put those up in there. And then we'll put this piece down in there. Just like that. Yeah. All right, now we just got to slide the lower clamp up in. There. And then we install the nut on top. Now we'll just set the triple clamp on top, but we're not gonna tighten it down real good because we gotta align it once we get our forks in. Because I skipped over when I put on the rear tire and mounted it, I just kind of wanted to bring in and show you how I do it. Now, I normally would be using that stand over there, but the issue with that is that that stem that sticks out through the top, it's made to go down through the center of the hub, and these bearings are just too small to allow that to happen. So I've kind of got to do it right here on the bench, laying down flat as it is. Now, what you didn't see me do is I took a wire brush and cleaned all the way around this surface here. And then, because again this shaft doesn't fit on my tire balancing machine, I just actually chucked it up into the forks of the bike and trued the wheel. Had some loose spokes and stuff, so I made sure that those are all good. I'm not the authority on truing wheels. There's other people, there's other videos out on the internet for people who basically do that for a living. So yeah, I'm not the guy to explain how to do that, but it's very simple to do. If you guys watch a couple videos, and you'll get your wheel nice and true and straight. So that's important that you do it now, especially before the tire's on it, because it just makes it a lot easier. So. And then what I did is I took a roll, a thin piece of Gorilla Tape. It's hard to see, but it's underneath this little rubber liner. I'll pull it back so you can see it. And just wrapped all the way around the rim with some of that Gorilla Tape, and then just reused the existing liner for the that protects the tube from the spokes. So just to give it a little bit of extra added protection. So now we're gonna put the tire on the rim. Again, everybody probably has their own way of doing things. This is just how I do it. So, and like I said, because I didn't want to have to deal with patched up tubes and being down on our ride simply for a $9 or $10 or $12 tube, or however much these tubes cost, I just wanted to make sure that I did all new, because flat tires are no fun, and it's no fun constantly airing up your tire all the time. And for tires on this, I'm just using they match my dirt bike tires. This is what I have also on my KTM. They're Maxxis Max Cross tires. I've checked, and there is a small arrow on the tire that kind of gives me indication that it's a directional tire. May not be, but I'm going to put them on as though they are. And where did I see it? Right here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but right there, it's pointing forward. It looks to me like that's a direction of travel. So in that case, that would go on the wheel just like that. I have a bottle of water, and then I just dump a little bit of liquid detergent in it. And then in the very top, I put just a tiny pinhole in that. And I use this for a lot of things, even use it for cleaning, but it works good for putting stuff, lubrication on the bead like this without making a super huge mess. All right, so that's on. Now we're going to air up our tube just a little bit and jam it in there. Yeah, that's it. Just a little bit, just so it takes a little bit of a shape. A little bit of baby powder kind of helps make things a little bit slippery. Again, I got my valve core lined up to the hole in the rim, and then I'm just going to go around, and that just makes it a little bit easier to go into the tire when it's rubber against rubber. Then once this tube is in, then I'll remove the valve core out of that stem. There, now I'm just pushing it down into the rim with my fingers. In. Now we just gotta get it jammed through that hole, and that's where it can be difficult. Now I don't go crazy tightening this part up, but I do try to get it so that it's somewhat snug and then back it off, just to try to get this the nipple straight on it. There, you can see how it's straightening out. So as I put the other side of this bead on, the tube just will kind of like slide into its natural place where it wants to rest. Okay, so that's actually tight right there. So now I'm going to back it off a little bit, just like that. Then I'm going to remove the valve core. You got to be real careful when you do this that you don't pinch the tube. That's why it's good to have nice quality tools. These are from Motion Pro, and I really like them. And they make a little tool that slips onto the rim to keep it so that when you're working over here that this side doesn't come off. But I can usually get it without too much struggle. You'll see in a minute that other side will start wanting to come off. But to combat that, all you've got to really do is just push down on this side of the tire. Okay, now this is where I gotta start holding it down. There, you see I'm pushing it down over here to help make room to slide it on. And I'm taking little bites on it. Yeah, see that side just started coming out. And then what I do sometimes, guys, is if the tire gets a little stubborn, to keep it from working its way backwards, by putting this here, it just squeezes. I'm not squeezing it against the rim, I'm just squeezing the tire together a little bit, and that allows it so that it can't unwind off that rim. And I'm just making sure that I'm trying to keep this side of the wheel down into this like thin part right here. And just, again, I'm taking little bites at it, and eventually it'll go on. You can see it's almost on right now. So push down, push down, push down. Keep pushing down all the way around. And keep taking little bites and it'll pop right on. And there it is. Now you can just take off your clamp and put your valve core back in and air up your wheel. And I go right to the maximum pressure, so it says 32 psi right here on the tire, so I go right to 32 just to seat everything good. Then I let all the air out of it after that, and then re-air it back up. All right, let's see what we got for air in this. 44.5. Yeah, that's plenty. Let that sit for a minute. You see how now this is loose. It's not gonna move around as nice and, you know, perpendicular to the wheel. So now that I've blown it up to maximum pressure, now I remove the valve core and let the tire and the tube relax. Yeah, I don't know if you heard me, but now that I've aired it up to its maximum pressure, now I just remove the valve core and let everything kind of like relax and set back into where it wants to be seated. Then I put the valve core in and then air it up to its proper pressure and then leave it. Then we're good. $29, that's a bit much, but we'll let it sit like that for a little bit. So I've just temporarily mounted the wheel on the bike, guys, just so I can show you a real cool restoration tip. So, you know, look at these wheels. They look really nasty, and I'm going to show you how I get chrome looking almost like new again. Not perfect, but it makes it look really good. So I've just got some triple-aught steel wool, and all you do is rub it down, and this thing will shine. It'll remove all the rust or a good portion of the rust, and this thing will shine almost like a brand new wheel again. You can see how it's automatically like taking all the rust off. It's just making things look so much better. Look at that. Like, I can see my reflection in it, and it feels really slippery. Look at that. How's that look, guys, huh? So I'm just going to keep doing this, and then once we're all done, we'll continue on progress with everything else on the bike. But yeah, we're making really good progress, so. Should handle nice. All new tires, bushings, the frame's all straight. We still got to redo the forks. I'm not rebuilding them because the fork seals don't leak, but I am going to change out the fluid and put new fluid in it because I'm sure that the fluid that's in it's been in here for a while. All right, guys, I've jumped ahead just a little bit, but it's getting too long, these videos, so I wanted to try to condense it and get it done. So what I've done here is I've removed the fork caps, pulled the forks out, dumped out the oil, and then put in some heavier weight fork oil from Maxima, and with the spring out and the fork all the way compressed, I just measured down 8 inches from the top and just basically took a piece of clear tubing that's 8 inches long and made a mark and just held it right up here and just used the suction tube and suctioned out the fluid. So it's 8 inches down from the top, that's where the fluid level is, and I put it all back together. It is warmed up right now, but watch this. Let me, if I can do it. Oh, hold on. Look at that. First kick. This thing runs like a top. This petcock is new, and then I just put on some fuel hose with a fuel filter, and yeah, so that's all good. It's all hooked up. While I had the tank off, I did adjust the valves. It calls for 0.02 of an inch clearance on the intake and on the exhaust. But the problem is that the exhaust had no clearance and the intake was fine. So I had to adjust the exhaust valve. So now that's at 0.02 of an inch, and this thing is awesome. I cannot believe that we fixed this carburetor, guys. As far as the fuel screw, which is right there, I'm out about 2.5 turns, 2 3/4 roughly. And if you remember right, I think from the factory or from when we worked on it, it was only out in 1 1/4 turns, but it is what it is. That's where it needs to be to run right. So yeah, this thing is super crisp and it is running awesome. So the next thing we got to do is get the plastics all cleaned up, get the plastics on it, and get ready to put on our graphics kit. But yeah, we are almost done, guys. This $400 XR build is coming along really nice, and this is a nice added feature, again, having this filter on here, because then we don't have to worry about the junk that builds up in this tank. I run non-ethanol fuel, as probably many of you know, but I do not run ethanol fuel, especially in something like this. It's just not worth it. The carburetors are just, you know, they're too sensitive to it. And if you set it for a while and it's going to sit over the winter, you can also drain your float bowl too. That's another good thing. But yeah, I'm really happy, guys, how this looks, how this came out. Got new rubbers on the shifters. The new foot pegs are on it. The kickstand came out nice, all painted up. Swing arm. The crooked subframe, that came out really awesome. I'm super happy with it. So yeah, I don't like this bar pad though. It's too small, so I got to order a bigger one. But that's a Honda Factory Effects bar pad. It's just not wide enough. So yeah, super proud how this is coming out. All right, guys, here it is, and I wanted to show it to you. They're doing construction out front. Sorry it's so loud, but the only thing I got left to do is put on the front fender. That's it. I'm still waiting for that to arrive, but check this out, guys. How does that look? Huh? Not too shabby. I got all the graphics on. I'm real happy how all of this came out, but look at this. See that? Yeah, one of the straps came off when I was towing it down the road, and it scarred up the exhaust, and it scarred up the sticker on the front end. But you know, it's going to get damaged, it's going to get hurt. I replaced that Factory Effects bar pad with another one. It's Factory Effects, it's just a little bit bigger. So do you want to see it run? Let's start it up. So it should start first kick. This thing runs like a top. So it's got a new fuel valve, so turn on the fuel and turn on the choke, and with any luck it should start first kick. And this is cold. I just brought it out of the garage. Okay, here we go. Hopefully it doesn't prove me a liar. Look at that, guys. There it is, guys. This thing runs like a top. The subframe's nice and straight. Got a Guts factory seat on it. This is the new fender with graphics kit. These are the original side covers. And oh yeah, look here too. Look, it rubbed there too as well when it fell off the trailer. So it didn't fall off the trailer, it just tipped over, and then the sides of this were rubbing on the sides of that trailer right there. So all I'm waiting on is a fender right now. So be sure to stick around next week, guys, and we will take this thing out for a ride. Thing goes good. I painted the perches using some semi-gloss black paint. So yeah, this thing runs really good, guys. Real happy with it. You ready, Colton? You're gonna follow me, okay?
Did you shut the choke off on mine?
Yours is ready to go.
I'm sorry, Miss Jackson.
lead, and then Colton, then me.
Sure?
Yeah.
You gonna ride behind him?
Yep. Follow Nana, Colton.
Thoughts of she, thoughts of he, asking what happened to the feeling that's hurting me. And to know this, know that everything's cool. And yes, I will be present on the first day of school.
I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. But that's how I feel.
You like wheelies?
Baby, I ain't playing by your rules. I am for real. Why you always in the mood?
I'm sorry, Miss Jackson.
I ain't trying to tell you what to do, but
Everything's cool.
baby, I ain't playing by your rules.
Never meant to make you down.
In the mood. Why you always in the mood?
Never meant to make you.
Sorry, Miss Jackson. I know I've been rude, but I miss the attraction. We a little toxic, but we got passion. We a little toxic and I got distracted. You showed a little ass and I had to go cash in. Couldn't imagine sex out of this world like we fucking on Saturn. Left my mother ball like I've been